Let's be honest, there are few things more frightening than being hit with a child endangerment charge. It's an accusation that feels deeply personal, and it can flip your entire world on its head in just a matter of moments. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the legal process step by step to bring some real clarity to what is, for sure, a confusing and overwhelming situation. This quote really just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? An accusation like this isn't just a legal problem. It feels like a direct attack on who you are as a person, as a parent. Our goal today is to cut through that fear and uncertainty with a clear, step-by-step understanding of the road ahead. So here's our game plan. We'll start with the accusation itself. Then we'll get into understanding the specific charge. After that, we'll look at how these cases typically begin, cover what happens right after an arrest, and finally, we'll lay out your immediate, most important next steps. All right, first up, let's talk about just how fast a totally normal day can turn into an absolute legal nightmare. See, these charges rarely come from some big malicious plan. More often than not, they're born from a single moment, a bad decision, or a situation that just spirals completely out of control. I mean, think about it. A really heated argument between spouses that gets a little too loud. Leaving a kid in the car for just 60 seconds while you run into the store. Or even just a neighbor misinterpreting something they hear through the walls. The scary part is that these things can explode from a private, everyday moment into a full-blown arrest in minutes. Okay, so an arrest has been made. Now what? Well, the very first step to getting some control back is to actually understand the charge you're facing. Let's break down what this legal code really means. The charge you'll often see is Penal Code 273AB, and that little letter B at the end, that is everything. It means this is the misdemeanor version. It's the prosecution saying, yes, we believe a child was put at risk, but, and this is the critical part, that serious injury or death was unlikely. This slide really lays it out perfectly. On the left, you've got our focus, 273AB, where the risk is potential and serious injury is seen as unlikely. Now, on the right, you have 273AA. That's the felony. That's when the prosecution believes serious injury or death was a likely outcome. That distinction is absolutely massive, and that changes the entire case. You know, a lot of people hear child endangerment and immediately think of intentional harm or abuse, but that's a huge misconception. The truth is, many of these cases have nothing to do with intent. They're built on claims of negligence, basically creating an unsafe situation or failing to protect a child from one. So what does negligence actually look like in the eyes of the law? Well, it can be a lot of things. It could be something like unsafe supervision, maybe leaving a toddler unattended near a swimming pool. It could be a hazardous environment at home. It could even just be having a volatile, screaming fight in front of a child. The definition here is incredibly broad. Okay, so we know what the charge is, but how do these cases actually get started? Let's dive into some of the real-world scenarios that can trigger an arrest, because understanding these starting points shows just how easily things can escalate. These are the classic triggers, right? A domestic dispute gets loud, a concerned neighbor calls 911, a parent runs into a store for just a minute, leaving a sleeping child in the car. It can even be used as a weapon in a really nasty custody battle. The point is, the spark can come from almost anywhere. All right, the worst has happened. An arrest has been made. What comes next? The hours right after an arrest can feel like total chaos, so let's break down that post-arrest process so you know exactly what to expect. Right away, you're looking at 3 main stages. First, there's the booking and detention process. Second, the court is going to set bail. And third, even if you're released, the court will almost certainly impose specific conditions that you absolutely have to follow. Step 1, booking. And you have to understand, this isn't like on TV. It's not a quick in and out process. The whole ordeal of taking fingerprints, photos, and filling out all the paperwork, it can take hours. And for the family waiting on the outside, that wait can feel like an eternity. Okay, then comes bail. And this isn't just some random number they pull out of a hat. A judge is going to look at the specific details of the allegation, the person's criminal history, if any, and whether they think the child might still be at risk. All of those factors get weighed to decide the final bail amount. And here's something that's so important to understand. Getting out on bail does not mean you're back to your normal life. Not even close. The court can slap on really strict conditions, things like a no-contact order with your own kids, supervised-only visits, or mandatory counseling. And these aren't suggestions. They are court orders that can totally reshape your daily life overnight. Okay, so we've talked a lot about what happens to you in this process. Now let's shift gears and talk about what you need to do. This is the crucial part, right? How you move from just being a passenger along for the ride to actually taking control of the situation. This is it. Your action plan. 6 steps to take to start getting a handle on things. Number 1, stay silent on recorded calls. 2, obey every single court order. 3, gather all the key info. 4, work on arranging release from custody. 5, get legal counsel immediately. And 6, document absolutely everything. I'm going to say this again because it is so critical. Assume that every single phone call from jail is being recorded, because it probably is, and every single word you say can and likely will be used against you by the prosecutor. In this moment, silence is your absolute best friend. Now, to take any real action, you need the right intel. You have to get specific information, and you need it fast. Find out the booking number, the exact charges, the bail amount, and the physical location where the person is being held. Without these details, you're just flying blind. So, if there's one thing you take away from all of this, let it be this. The word misdemeanor can be really misleading. It sounds, well, minor, but the consequences are anything but. A conviction can permanently change your family, your custody arrangements, and your job prospects. You have to treat it with the utmost seriousness from the very first minute. And that really is the bottom line. This isn't just a legal headache. It's a life-altering event that starts the second an arrest is made. So the only question left to ask is, are you prepared for day one?